You can look up almost any whale shark on Earth. Behind the gills, each one carries a scatter of pale spots, and no two animals share the same arrangement. Photograph that patch of skin, and software will match it for you against a global catalogue. There are more than 10,000 individual sharks in it, logged across 50 countries. Divers send in the pictures. The matching happens automatically. So the biggest fish in the ocean is not really a stranger to you. Thousands of them have names. We know which ones come back to the same bay year after year. Now search that same catalogue for a newborn. In 50 years of scientific records, the number confirmed sits at around 35. Not 35,000, 35. One female can carry 300 pups inside her at once. Nobody has ever seen one born. Nobody has found the place where it happens. Start with the body, because the numbers set up everything that follows. A whale shark is not a whale. It is a shark, and the largest fish alive. The biggest reliable measurement on record runs to nearly 19 meters. It feeds almost entirely on plankton. It strains that plankton out of the water through pads of fine mesh inside the mouth. It is slow, and it is harmless to you. If you swim beside one, it will simply keep going. It lives in warm ocean in every direction from the equator. And when it chooses to, it drops past 1,900 meters. Into water, you would need a submarine to survive. Now the part that matters here. Whale sharks produce eggs, but the eggs never leave the body. They hatch inside the mother. The pups are born live, already swimming, already alone. That single fact took decades to pin down, and it rests almost entirely on one animal. In 1995, a fishery off Taiwan landed a female measuring 10.5 meters. Inside her were 304 embryos, packed into 2 wombs. No two of them were at the same stage. Some were still sealed in egg cases. Others had hatched and were swimming loose inside her. A few were close to full term. The paper that followed gave her a nickname, Mega Mama. It is the largest litter ever recorded in any shark, anywhere. The next biggest belongs to the blue shark, at 135. Now hold that against the catalogue you just searched. 300 pups from one female. 35 newborns confirmed in half a century. One pregnancy from one animal outnumbers every baby whale shark on record by close to 10 to 1. This is not a rare creature that is hard to find. It is a common one with an entire chapter missing. All of that came out of a dead fish on a dock. The whale shark was described by science in 1828. For the next 167 years, how it reproduced stayed an open argument. The leading answer for most of the 20th century was that it laid eggs. In 1953, a shrimp trawler off the Texas coast pulled up an egg case. There was a live whale shark embryo inside it. That looked conclusive to everyone who saw it. Except the case was thin and pale, which is what an aborted case looks like. So the argument stayed open for another 40 years. Then, Mega Mama. Shou Zhengjong and his colleagues published the count in 1996. The empty egg cases inside her rewrote the picture. The eggs were real. They simply never left. What the trawler found off Texas was not normal reproduction at all. It was an accident. That is the useful half of the story. Here is the uncomfortable half. Every figure you will ever hear quoted about whale shark pregnancy traces back to that one body. How many pups? How big they are when they arrive? The staggered development, and the idea that a female can hold a male's sperm and fertilize her eggs across a long stretch rather than all at once. One animal, one afternoon, one set of measurements. There is no second reading to check it against. Nobody can tell you whether Megamama was typical of her species or whether she was unusual even among whale sharks. Imagine reconstructing how a whole city works from a single photograph of a single street. You would get some things right. You would have no idea what you had missed. And there is a detail in that litter that should have narrowed your search straight away. The embryos were at different stages. That means the pups do not all arrive together. A female carrying 300 young may release them over a long period, in different places, as she moves. So there may be no single moment of birth to catch. There may be no event to film. Just a slow scattering, somewhere out in open water, spread across weeks. If that is what happens, then finding a pupping ground is not like finding a nest. It is closer to finding a weather pattern. The field stopped waiting for another body to wash up. It went looking for a living, pregnant female instead. There is one place on Earth where you can reliably find adult female whale sharks. Darwin Island sits at the far northern end of the Galapagos. It is a volcanic stub in open Pacific with almost nothing around it. The whale sharks that pass it are not the young ones you see on tourist trips. These are enormous, and nearly all of them are female. Many arrive with a swelling behind the pelvic fins. It looks exactly like what you would expect from a pregnant animal. For years, that swelling was treated as good evidence. Divers photographed it. It went into the literature as a working assumption. In 2018, a team led by Jonathan Green decided to look inside. Green founded the Galapagos Whale Shark Project after seeing his first whale shark at Darwin decades earlier. The plan he put together was ambitious to the point of absurdity. Take a medical ultrasound machine, seal it inside a waterproof case, carry all 17 kilograms of it down to 30 meters. Then scan the belly of a free-swimming animal 14 meters long while it keeps moving. Rui Matsumoto ran the scanner. To keep pace, he mounted a propeller unit on his air tank and let it drag him along beside the sharks. Simon Pierce was on the team, and he wondered what passing divers made of the sight. A man underwater with a briefcase and a jetpack. The scanning is where the trouble lives, and it is worse than you would guess. Whale shark skin is among the thickest of any animal on the planet. It runs up to about 20 centimeters on a large individual, and the scanner could only see about 30 centimeters in. That left very little room to work with. Matsumoto could not image everything he wanted to. He saw enough. 22 females were scanned. In 2 of them, both around 11 to 12 meters, the ovaries were visible. They carried developing follicles, which is the stage before an egg is ever fertilized. In none of them was there an embryo, and not one egg case. The swollen bellies were not pregnancy, or at least not any pregnancy the machine could reach. The one place with reliable access to adult females turned out not to be a place they give birth. Green's reading afterwards was that these animals may be passing through, on their way somewhere further offshore to mate. The satellite tags supported him. Sharks leaving Darwin head out into open Pacific, toward equatorial water, where no research vessel is sitting and waiting for them. Which raises a harder question for you. If they are not giving birth where we can watch them, are they mating there either? For most of the history of whale shark science, nobody had seen them mate at all. Ningaloo Reef runs along the coast of Western Australia. Every year, the whale sharks arrive there to feed on what the reef spawns. Teams have run expeditions every May since 2009. That is 15 years of dedicated effort in the water on one of the most predictable whale shark gatherings on the planet. In May 2024, they finally saw it. Christine Barry works with the Australian Institute of Marine Science and Murdoch University. She recorded a large, mature male moving up behind a smaller female. He followed her. Then he opened his mouth and lunged at her tail. He missed, picked up speed, and lunged again. This time he made contact and bit the trailing edge of her tail fin. Understand what that means before it sounds to you like an attack. Following and biting are ordinary courtship across cartilaginous fish. Tiger sharks, zebra sharks, and basking sharks all do it. A male grips a female to hold his position. In open water, there is nothing else for him to brace against. She was not interested. She pivoted hard, pectoral fins angled down, and turned to face him. Then she dropped away into deep water. He went after her, and Barry lost sight of them both. So the record still does not contain a completed mating. What it contains is the approach. Underneath that observation sits something much larger. Go to almost any place on Earth where whale sharks reliably gather, count the sexes, and you find the same thing. Ningaloo runs at roughly 4 young males for every 1 female. The pattern holds across most known sites. Coastal gatherings are dominated by juvenile males. There is one clear exception at Al-Lith in the Red Sea, where the ratio sits close to even. Barry's explanation for the imbalance is uncomfortable in a useful way. Female whale sharks may be avoiding these places on purpose. Picture it from her side. A gathering site is somewhere she gets followed and bitten by males far larger than she is. And the energy cost of fending that off is real. Staying offshore is cheaper. Follow that through, and the picture turns over. Decades of whale shark research have happened at a small handful of coastal sites that adult females largely do not use. The animals that matter most for your question are the ones least likely to swim past a camera. The answer was never going to turn up where we were standing. It had to be found some other way. Freya Womersley works at the Marine Biological Association in Plymouth. In early 2025, she published a study that came at your question backwards. Instead of chasing pregnant females, she took every confirmed newborn sighting with a known location. That is roughly 3 dozen of them across 5 decades. She put them on a map. Then she began laying ocean data over the top, 1 layer at a time. Surface temperature, depth, productivity, currents, dissolved oxygen. The oxygen layer was the one that lit up. Picture a band of water somewhere between 200 and 1,000 meters down, where the oxygen almost runs out. These are called oxygen minimum zones. They form where dead scraps drift down and get eaten by microbes faster than the currents can put the oxygen back. Most large ocean hunters cannot stay in them. Tuna avoid them. Blue sharks feed above them without going in. Womersley found that newborn sightings sit on the edges of these zones far more often than chance would explain. Think of it as a room almost nothing else can stay inside, with the food kept just outside the door. The surface water above one of these zones is usually thick with plankton. That is exactly what a newborn whale shark eats. Below it, the animals that would eat the newborn cannot follow. Womersley is careful about what this shows. Her paper offers 2 readings, and it refuses to pick one. Either the mothers are choosing these waters deliberately, which would make them among the most sophisticated fish in the ocean, or the pups are simply born out in open water, carried into these zones by currents, and then squeezed up toward the surface where we happen to catch them. The data cannot yet separate the two. Then, in December 2025, something turned up that nobody had planned for. Saleh Bay is a wide, half-enclosed stretch of water on the north coast of Sumbawa in Indonesia. Fishermen there work from bagans. These are lift net platforms anchored offshore, and the crews haul at night. Whale sharks come to the nets to feed, and the fishermen know them well enough to have their own name for them. In August 2024, 5 separate reports came in of a very small whale shark near the platforms. It was seen around 11 at night and again before dawn. On the 6th of September, one came up inside a net. The fisherman put it in a styrofoam box of seawater so it could be measured properly and then let it go. 135 to 145 centimeters, short enough to lie inside your bathtub, roughly 4 months old. It was the first newborn whale shark ever recorded in Indonesian waters. Muhammad Iqbal Herwata Putra and his colleagues published it as the strongest evidence yet that Sala Bay may be a pupping ground. If that holds, it would be the first one ever identified anywhere on Earth. The people who found it were not on a research vessel. They were hauling a net at 11 at night. And in the paper itself, the authors will not call it confirmed. Go back to the catalogue you started with. 10,000 animals, matched by their spots, tracked across 50 countries by anyone with a camera. That system works for one reason. It was built around a whale shark that comes close enough to photograph. Every method in this video has the same shape. The ultrasound needed a female swimming past a diver. The mating record needed a reef that people already visit every May. The map of newborns was built from animals caught by accident, because almost nobody finds one on purpose. None of that is a failure of effort. 15 years of expeditions is effort. Hauling a scanner to 30 meters is effort. Every one of those methods still waits for the animal to come to a place where a person already is. None of them can go out and find an animal that has no reason to swim anywhere near you. So the secret has held for a plain reason. Every tool we own is pointed at the part of this species that comes to us. The rest of it has never been hiding. It has just never been where we were. And there is a last piece that cannot be engineered around. A newborn cannot carry a tag. The equipment is too heavy against the size of the animal. So tracking tends to begin at around 2.5 meters, on a shark already years past the moment you would want to see. To follow one from the start, you would have to wait for it to grow into the technology. A whale shark takes something like 30 years to reach breeding age. One has been verified at 50. Some may reach 100. Which means a pup born this year will not have young of its own until the 2050s. Anyone who begins that study will not be the person who finishes it.